Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Thursday with RamDev. And right now there's a war going on in the Middle East. There's a war going on in the Ukraine. There's kind of craziness going on in U.S. politics. And it seems to me that the question here is, how can we move from anger, shame, guilt into love and compassion? That now more than ever, compassion is needed. The Tibetans say this wonderful thing that compassion is a mixture of sadness and joy. You're sad that there's so much suffering in the world, and yet there's a joyfulness that your heart is open, a joyfulness that transcends happiness and sadness. So we look at pictures on the internet and in the news from Gaza, from Ukraine, from hurricane in Mexico just happened yesterday. Heart-wrenching pictures, pictures that are so difficult to look at, stories that are so difficult to hear, that it is a challenge to keep your heart open, to feel the suffering that you intuit that the people in that picture are actually experiencing. The heart of compassion is what's needed now, but at the same time, as Rumi said, grief is the garden of compassion, or at least grief can be the garden of compassion. And when we're lost in grief, when we're lost in our sadness, we're lost in our anger, we're lost in our victimhood, our guilt, our shame, that's what we have to work with to get to the point where we can feel that joyfulness of the open heart mixed with the sadness of the suffering. So that working with the lower chakras, being willing to dive into the anger, the guilt, the shame, and not trying to deny that, not trying to skip that and jump immediately into wholeness, into the wholeness of the open heart. If we think about it, the people that have really had lasting change, created lasting change in the world, Gandhi, Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, were people who had channeled their grief, transmuted it, worked with it, and transmuted it into compassion. The separateness of grief becoming connectedness of compassion. Can we do conscious grief work with our anger, with our victimhood, with our shame, with our guilt, and transmute that into the connectedness of compassion? That you're connected to me, you're connected to yourself, to all beings, to God, to the earth, to people in Gaza, to people in Israel, to people in the Ukraine. We are one in that heart. There's one heart, there are many beings. I love you.